Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Church of Evanston. I'm Betty Walker, feeling a lot better than I look. Whether this is your spiritual home or you are newly discovering this community, we're grateful to share this time together. We strive to be an inclusive and welcoming community, seeking truth in love and nurturing the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us is worthy of love and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. We come together to remember our kinship with one another and to hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention, and to dedicate ourselves more fully to living our shared values. People of all ages are a welcome and important part of our faith community. We are blessed to have the children for the first half of every service, and the entire service is for all ages about once a month. The nest in the front is our designated area for families with young children, where we have quiet fidget toys and activities and a kid-friendly order of service. Nursery care is available in room 11 every Sunday. As part of being a welcoming and inclusive community, we have some information posted on the screen that will help orient you to UCE and our service. A few announcements. The Leadership Development Team announces the launch of its updated webpage with information about enhancing positive lay leadership. Visit Carolyn Laughlin at the Leadership Development table during our engagement fair to learn more about boosting enthusiasm for engagement and building gratification from the work of leaders and team members. Today is the last day to order your UCE t-shirts, and tomorrow is the deadline to make a donation to the auction. Check the auction website for more information. You're cordially invited to the auction preview party this Saturday from 3 to 5:30. Come see over 100 auction items, do some bidding, enjoy some wine and cheese, and visit with friends. Childcare is provided. All the tables set out around the sanctuary and cafe are an invitation to you to stay for our engagement fair after the service. We have guests at our legislative action team and immigrant solidarity team tables. We have a raffle where you can buy a ticket by updating or confirming your realm profile with Adam. While you're at it, take a photo for your profile in front of the wall tapestry next to the fair trade cart. And our kinship time snacks are spread out among the tables, so stay and eat, mingle, and find out what is happening here within our groups and teams. Finally, a reminder about the fair trade cart, which moves from its hiding place every Sunday morning to its spot at the back of the sanctuary, filled with good things to eat and drink. Because all our products are fair trade, small farmers around the world are guaranteed a price that affords a life of dignity, with education for their children and health care for all. But that's only half the story. The most important part is that every bit of our profits help families right here in Evanston. Over the past 12 or 13 years, our proceeds have supported a number of projects, such as gift cards for clothing and groceries for struggling families at Chute Middle School, a healthy eating project also at Chute, including an organic vegetable garden and classes in nutrition and cooking, scholarship funds for after-school and summer activities at Family Focus, a large donation to Connections for the Homeless, and in the past 2 years, we were able to pay for a month's rent for the Jamshidis, the Afghan refugee family that is being assisted by members of UCE. It really doesn't take big expensive purchases to do this. For example, about every 2 weeks, I need a bag of coffee, a couple of chocolate bars, and a package of soup mix. The markup on this purchase is $7.25. If I buy only that much 20 times in a year, the total profit comes to $145. That doesn't sound like a lot, but supposing 20 people bought that same amount 20 times a year, the total profit would be $2,900. That's close to the total profit for our most successful years. But coffee, chocolate, and soup mix are only 3 of the many good things we have to offer. If you haven't checked us out lately, you may not have seen our new baking mixes, snacks, and even doggy treats. You can buy organic fair trade coffee and chocolate at the supermarket, but the profit will not go into the community. Instead, you could stop by our cart for your coffee and chocolate, or one of our 5 varieties of soup mix, each one with a wonderful packet of pre-mixed seasoning that turns a little bag of dried beans into several delicious meals. You'd be getting something good and good for you, and at the same time be making a real difference for someone, maybe many people, our neighbors, who are in need. So, come and sample our chocolate chip oatmeal cookies and become a part of our mission to serve the community. And now, let us settle into our shared time of reflection, celebration, and inspiration. As we begin our worship service, those joining us online are invited to gather your chalice as we join in beloved community. Welcome to worship.
If I am living in a world that's wild and free, and with this voice I am speaking my truth with clarity, and with this heart I am loving what once was and what will be, and with this life I am living both with joy and dignity. With this life I am living in a world that's wild and free, and with this voice I am speaking my truth with clarity, and with this heart I am loving what once was and what will be, and with this life I am living both with joy and dignity. With this life I am living in a world that's wild and free, and with this voice I am speaking my truth with clarity, and with this heart I am loving what once was and what will be, and with this life I am living both with joy and dignity. Yes, with this life I am living both with joy and dignity.
The Unitarian Church of Evanston resides on land that was recorded as being transferred from the local Potawatomi community to the U.S. government in 1829. Shortly before the Potawatomi in this area were forcefully removed west of the Mississippi River, and the land was then sold to white settlers. We remember the ancestors of contemporary African Americans, the individuals, families, and networks of Black people who built up our country's culture and economy, a role forced on them originally by enslavement. We acknowledge the intentional violence that landed on North American shores in 1619 has continued throughout the generations and remains a reality today. These acknowledgments are one small effort toward building long-term solidarity with contemporary communities. We commit ourselves to take what we learn here today and incorporate it into our lives and turn our thoughts into actions. Please join in our words of shared commitment. We name these realities with honor for all the ancestors, respect for our descendants, and gratitude for the land we use as sacred space. Joyce Lofstrom, Michelle Novak, and Mary Beth Roth brought the flowers today on behalf of the Nominating Committee in recognition of the many who share their gifts to help this community thrive. As they light our chalice, symbol of our living tradition, please join in saying the words on the screen by Unitarian minister Edward Everett Hale. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. May this call to generous action guide our time together during this hour. Please rise in body or spirit and join in saying the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Before we sing our opening hymn, I invite those joining us online to greet each other in the chat, and those gathered in the sanctuary to turn to one another briefly to say good morning, trying to greet someone who is new to you.
Please remain uplifted and stay after the service again to continue your conversations and visit our tables at the engagement fair. Let's keep creating relationships and building kinship among us. Our opening hymn is number 16, "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple."
And when we find ourselves in the place just right, Good morning. There we go. How y'all doing? What a beautiful morning. So today's Time for All Ages is a story called The Three Sabbaths by William White from a book called 100 Wisdom Stories from Around the World by Margaret Seff. In a small village, three friends, a Muslim, a Jew, and a Christian, farmed on adjoining land. The Muslim observed Friday as the Sabbath, the Jew observed Saturday as the Sabbath, and the Christian observed Sunday as the Sabbath. One autumn Friday, around noon, the Jew and the Christian finished plowing their fields. As he sat eating his lunch, the Christian noticed that the field of his Muslim friend was not yet plowed. If he doesn't plow it today, it may rain tomorrow and he will not be able to complete his planting. I could plow a bit of his field and thus make his work easier. And so he did. And in an adjoining field, his Jewish companion came upon an identical plan. Without consulting each other, the two men completed their neighbor's plowing. The next day, when the Muslim discovered that his field had been plowed, he rejoiced in saying, "Surely God has sent his angels to plow my field while I observed the day of rest." Months later, when harvest season arrived, the fields of the three friends flourished. One Sunday, the Jew and the Muslim were harvesting their crop while their Christian brother celebrated the Sabbath. As he completed harvesting his corn, the Jew noticed that the field of his Christian friend was ready to harvest. If he does not harvest today, he could lose a part of his crop, he thought. I will pick his corn until it becomes dark. And so he did. Completely unknown to him, of course, his Muslim brother came to the same conclusion. And between them, they harvested their friend's field entirely. And on Monday, when the Christian came out to the field, he discovered that his entire crop had been harvested. It's a miracle, he thought. While I rested, God's angels harvested. During threshing season, the Muslim and the Christian were working on a Saturday, while their Jewish friend stayed home keeping the Sabbath. As he finished threshing his grain, the Muslim looked to the next field and thought, if my Jewish neighbor does not gather his grain today, the rain might wash it away and he will lose his crop. I will thresh part of his crop this afternoon. And so he did. Unknown to him, his Christian friend decided upon the same course of action. Separately, the two men threshed, bound, and covered the entire crop. And when his Sabbath was over, the Jewish farmer discovered that his grain was threshed. Lifting his eyes to heaven, he prayed, "Blessed are you, Lord, the universe, for sending your angels while I was keeping your Sabbath." The end.
I want to acknowledge it's not super fair to have so much to look at right near the nest, and so sorry about that, bud. Let's settle in to our time of quiet reflection for joys and sorrows. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like to share with this congregation, you can write it in the book that's found right at the table as you enter the sanctuary. You can send me an email, or you can fill out the Google form found on the home page of our website. We listen to these offerings with tenderness and respect, and so let us all quiet our bodies and our minds as well as we are able by taking in a deep breath together and letting it out. These are the joys and sorrows that have been shared before the service today. Sarah Devaney shares a joy in, she's participating in a writing competition and has 15,000 words written out of 50,000, so good job. From Gretchen Brewster, I continue to revel in the successes and elevation of our spirited Evanston pro-choice rally and march with the fabulous support of so many UCE members. Thank you. Added joy continues in the aftermath of my 60th high school reunion in Summit, New Jersey, where classmates showed up and were so real and connected with one another. And yesterday, I witnessed my 16-year-old granddaughter, Maddie, and her magnificent undefeated soccer team win the state championship. What a joy. On to nationals. From Melanie Kitchener, she's having cataract surgery this Thursday, and want to thank the pastoral care folks for their support. Ginny Neiman and Karen Courtwright are driving me to post-op appointments, and my dear daughter Jessica is bringing me home surgery day. Having a beloved congregation to help makes for less nervousness for me. Thank you all. From Betty Walker, I'm so grateful for the messages of healing and support over the past 2 weeks and for all the many ways people have reached out to me. What a loving and caring community this is. Glad you're okay, Betty. From Shirley Adams, Andy Fisher, and the whole UCE Legislative Advocacy Network, which you can visit their table after the service. Joy to celebrate the UUNI, I always want to say UUNI anniversary yesterday. Some of us gathered at UCE and then Zoomed across the whole state, joining other UCE members online. We celebrated that our Illinois State Advocacy Network is now 10 years old and that 2 beloved UCE members helped make it a success, Margaret Shackley and Dale Griffin. Be proud, UCE, and thank Margaret and Dale when you have a chance. Jean Butson and Jim Strickler are happy to announce the recent marriage of their daughter, Casey Butson Strickler, to Bryant Johnson on October 6th in Portland, Oregon. The wedding was a joyous event celebrated by our extended families and their many friends. We are so happy to have Bryant as a member of our family. And from Andy Fisher, a sorrow for the innocent Palestinians being killed by the Israeli military, which is largely supported by our U.S. taxpayer funds, and for all the freezing migrants who are experiencing a Chicago winter for the first time. And I will add my own sorrow that is with me every day for all those who are suffering under terror, oppression, violence, and dehumanization all over the world. Sharing these concerns is a part of the practice of beloved community. Together we expand our celebrations and we lessen the burden of our grief. So you're invited now to come forward and light a candle for those joys and sorrows that may be too tender to say aloud. You can come down the center or down the side. There'll be 3 stations for lighting candles. And if you'd like a candle brought to you, please raise your hand and we will bring one to you. Please come forward now. For these joys, we give our thanks. For these sorrows, we give our love. Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. This prayer written by Reverend Dr. Rebecca Savage. Spirit of life, eternal beloved of mystery and grace, receive our prayer. We come before that which is greater than ourselves in gratitude for the fullness of our lives, for the anguish and grief that informs our mission to side with love again and again, for the suffering and disenfranchisement of our people that foments our passion for justice and wholeness, for complex lives, for hard lives, for real, full, and overwhelmed lives. We give thanks for the blessing that we have been given, the reassurance of community, the steady warmth of hope, and the unwavering faith that there will be better days. We give thanks and seek your grace. Spirit of love, come alongside with all the holy nudges that we need so that we may live in such a way that we celebrate all the blessings that we have been giving, so that we may be the blessings in the world. People, preschool through 6th grade, are invited now to head to their faith formation time with their adult leaders, and we'll see you afterwards.
As we say in our covenant each Sunday, service is our law. UCE is called by our mission, values, and principles to contribute to our community, to form accountable partnerships, and to express gratitude through giving. Today's offering will be shared with the UU Advocacy Network of Illinois, whose mission is to build power among UU congregations in Illinois, to accountably advocate with those who have been historically marginalized. Here to speak about UUANI is Reverend Scott Asing, the Executive Director.
Good morning. I am Reverend Scott Asing, pronouns are he, him, and I lead our statewide UU Justice Network, the Unitarian Universalist Advocacy Network of Illinois, which we call UUNI, because it's about you, and I working together for justice. UUNI does two main things. We empower congregations like UCE for spiritually grounded, relationally effective justice work, relationally accountable justice work, and we mobilize congregations for strategically effective action in solidarity with partner organizations representing those most impacted by injustice. In terms of organizing, we work to empower congregations in three ways. First, by training leaders through our GRACE congregational organizing training. GRACE stands for grounded, relational, accountable, capacity building, and effective. And we'll have a cohort starting in January. If you'd like to sign up, there's a QR code over on the table. We develop congregational advocacy teams, like the legislative advocacy team here that was pioneered here at UCE and is doing such good work. And we consult with congregational leadership about the potential for collective action both in local congregations and in statewide campaigns. And I meet regularly with Reverend Susan about that. In terms of mobilizing for action, we do that through our Actions of the Week, which many of you get for online advocacy, through the legislative advocacy teams, like the one here, and through statewide mobilization campaigns. Our current campaigns include ending death by incarceration with the UU Prison Ministry of Illinois, to end the continued caging of seniors who pose no threat to society, but will otherwise die behind bars. Another campaign is to end the burning of fossil fuels in Illinois with the Illinois Clean Jobs Coalition, through campaigns for clean power, clean buildings, and clean transportation. Another campaign is to end vouchers for private anti-LGBTQ schools with Equality Illinois. And another campaign is to welcome asylum seekers with the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. Finally, our Vote Love campaign works with UU The Vote nationally to engage disengaged and disempowered voters across the country and here in Illinois. Most recently by sending postcards to Kentucky, which is having an election this Tuesday, as well as Virginia, which many of you have signed postcards for as well, and thank you for that. Thank you all for all that you do, putting our UU values into action. UCE is a star congregation in the state, and I just want you to know that. You really do shine and stand out among the others in the state. And thank you for your ongoing and faithful support for our efforts to empower congregations across the state and to accountably and effectively advocate with those who are historically marginalized in our society. May what you give bring you joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Gregory. Beautiful. Thank you for your generosity. The reading is by Richard S. Gilbert. Each morning we hold out our chalice of being to be filled with the graces of life that abound. Beauty to behold, art to cherish, causes to serve. They come in ritual procession, these gifts of life. Whether we deserve them, we cannot know or say, for they are poured out for us. Our task is to hold steady the chalice of our being. We carry the chalice with us as we go, either meandering aimlessly or with destination in our eye. We share its abundance, if we have any sense, reminding others as we remind ourselves of the contents of the chalice we don't deserve. Water from living streams fills it, if only we hold it out faithfully. We give back, if we can, something of ourselves, some love, some beauty, some grace, some gift. We give back in gratitude, if we can, something like what is poured into our chalice of being for those who abide with us and will follow. Each morning, we hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, to give back.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Joyce Lofstrom, and I'm here today as chair of the UCE Nominating Committee to provide a perspective on leadership. I want to thank the members of the committee, some of them are here with us: Michelle Novak, Mary Beth Roth, Cheryl Mounts, and Kathy Diamant. We are a team that works together to identify and reach out to many of you to consider leadership position on the Board of Trustees, the Endowment Committee, and the Nominating Committee. More about that later. As I consider how leadership and involvement at UCE has had an impact on my own life, I want to share about how my values actually formed. I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri. Now I have to say this, go Chiefs. It's 21-0 at halftime, I learned. I'm adopted, as was my brother Gary, who's 4 years younger than me. We grew up as Catholic in a blue-collar, middle to lower middle-class neighborhood, an integrated neighborhood. Our parents didn't finish high school, and their intelligence really came from their life experiences, which led them to adopt us. My dad delivered meat to grocery stores and to restaurants, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, but sold Avon door-to-door in our neighborhood and started to work at the IRS when I went to college. Gary and I both attended the University of Missouri, earning bachelor's and master's degrees. And we also met our birth families and know that our parents are really the mom and dad that we grew up with, Pete and Dorothy. My values formed early growing up in my neighborhood and going to school with friends of color. My mom and I had numerous arguments about race and racism, especially in 4th grade when she wouldn't let my friend Denise spend the night because Denise was black. In 6th grade, I snuck the book Black Like Me out of the top drawer of her dresser to read it. Afterwards, we talked about it, and she admitted she was wrong about my friend. She said it was how she had grown up. By 8th grade, I invited many girls in my class, including Denise, Debbie, and Arshelle, who were black, to my Halloween party in the basement. These scenarios have really stayed with me some 60 years later. And as a member of UCE for about 13 years, I found this congregation through my agnostic partner, Bill, who grew up in Winnetka. And he told me to try this church when I gave up on the Catholic religion. I find the UU values of practicing beloved community and committing to anti-racism and anti-oppression align with mine. Living my values demands action, and action happens with people who share those same UU values. People I have met here, and I know many of you, and I hope you know who I'm talking about. I think some of you will. I've had the chance to get to know many other people here at UCE through the covenant group I lead, the caregiver group that I co-facilitate, and also as a member of the cancer support group. Participating in these groups and other UU activities supports spiritual growth and well-being for me and many others. I've been close to people who've died, and they still live on with me because they shared their lives with me through the cancer group. That group saved me when my son Max died from cancer. And I could then in turn support my son and Max's brother John. I've listened to many challenges people face in caring for their loved ones because they were comfortable enough to share their tips and coping mechanisms. And I've learned from others here at the church how to be better at what I do and something I say or the way I might plan something because we understand each other and we just want to be better. Engaging in our interconnected world is why we are here this morning. And so often people look for a chance to be part of something, an invitation to join a committee, attend an event, or simply talk to someone. Someone asked me to join, lead, or participate here at UCE. I did, and I still do. And as I've said, this is a shared journey that I hope everyone can experience. And you can learn more about the Nominating Committee if you stop by our table, which is over there with some cookies after the service. So, thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. And thank you so much to the Nominating Committee for your commitment to helping our congregation more abundantly share our gifts with each other and with the wider world. Nourishing ourselves spiritually so that we can be of use to the wider world is what this congregation is here for. Living into beloved community is inherently about a generosity of spirit, of acting out our shared aspirational belief that each person has gifts to offer, that there is enough love and care to go around, and to enable us to help heal the world together. This month's theme is generosity. Throughout this congregational year, we'll be exploring the newly proposed Unitarian Universalist values, which are a reimagining of our current principles. There are 6 value statements surrounding the central value of love, and first we're going to explore generosity. The generosity value reads in full, "We cultivate a spirit of generosity and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality." Generosity is born out of gratitude and hope. It is inseparable from gratitude, and they are bound together in an endless cycle of abundance and reciprocity. When we remember to be grateful for the air we breathe, for the food we eat, for the beauty around us, for the relationships that sustain us, generosity flows freely. Genuine gratitude for needs met can only lead to the conclusion that everyone's needs should be met, and a commitment to making that a reality. But feeling gratitude is not always easy. In a recent Hidden Brain podcast, Shankar Vedantam talks with a psychologist, Thomas Gilovich, about the barriers to gratitude and how to overcome them. Though most of us here can probably come up with at least 3 things to be grateful for. Think about those. Mine would be my family, that I have a home, and that I have my health. It's easier, though, to forget those reasons for gratitude in my daily living. Comparing what we have with what others have can lead us to feeling resentful rather than grateful. Competition rather than cooperation with others breeds a scarcity that can sap gratitude. A sense of entitlement, thinking we are owed something rather than finding delight in unexpected beauty and joy, inhibits gratitude. Focusing on our struggles and ignoring what others are going through robs us of gratitude. And thinking more about the barriers in our way rather than all the ways that we've been helped in moving forward diminishes our gratitude. And I admit that right now there is so much weighing heavily on my heart. I imagine yours too. This is a hard time to feel grateful. Every minute of every day, I'm feeling overwhelmed by what is happening in Gaza and the West Bank and Israel, helpless to do anything about it, wordless in trying to speak about it, and frozen by a fear of making things worse by either action or inaction. As people of a faith with love at its center, we are called to do our best not to hide from the realities of suffering. We join together to try to do what we can to speak and act against violence and injustice, to be in solidarity and accountable partnership as we work to dismantle oppression wherever it exists. And yet, as we struggle and strive to hold all there is to hold, let us not forget that we also come together to practice gratitude. We join in worship to lift up what is of worth, which is what worship means, and to practice gratitude for what joy, beauty, and love is also present in each moment. In community, we hold the reality of sorrow and suffering, as we also seek the possibility of peace and liberation and mutual flourishing that is always present. Robin Wall Kimmerer, mother, scientist, professor, and enrolled member of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation, in her beautiful essay, The Service Berry, writes about gift economy using the lessons of nature's abundance. She says, a gift economy nurtures the community bonds that enhance mutual well-being. The economic unit is we rather than I, as all flourishing is mutual. All flourishing is mutual. She uses the example of the service berry, also known as Saskatoon, Juneberry, and sugar plum, to illustrate the wisdom of centering generosity and gratitude as we meet our needs. Service berry is also called bozakman in the Potawatomi language, which means the best of berries. It is a model of abundance, sharing its treasure with all manner of beings, humans, birds, bugs, and four-legged friends. In return, it flourishes in symbiosis, benefiting from seeds scattered far and wide. This kind of gift economy is a contrast to the capitalist market economy that rules the exchange of goods and services across most of the globe. The market economy operates on the idea of scarcity. In fact, the American Economic Association says on their website that economics is the study of scarcity and how people respond to it. A gift economy, as Kimmerer, Indigenous peoples, and Mother Nature understands, is a, quote, system of distribution of goods and services that meets the needs of the community. The natural world shows us in countless ways that prioritizing relationship and practicing reciprocity makes collective thriving not just possible, but probable. In this congregation, we strive to operate as a gift economy. We strive to center relationships and reciprocity, inclusion and diversity, valuing the unique contributions of each and trusting that the well-being of all is best served when we all contribute our part, whatever our part may be. In turn, with the abundance of gifts cultivated here, we are more abundantly able to share the harvest of generous gifts with our community and the wider world. Here, we have a forgiving place to grow our gifts of service, commitment, values, and love, so that we are better equipped to bravely carry that love forward and outward. I've shared this story before, but it's worth repeating. When I came here 22 years ago, I didn't feel I had anything of value to give. A young mother struggling with a deep sense of inadequacy, I had no sense of what I had to offer. Over time, though, with the generosity and gratitude of this congregation as a model, the gift seedlings held within me were found, generously tended and encouraged to grow. And because my gifts were received with love and allowed to flourish, I became better able to recognize the gifts of others and help them to cultivate theirs. This is reciprocity and mutual flourishing in community. I am one of countless stories like this. Joyce shared the way her gifts of relationship building and caregiving have not only helped her grow, but have helped her to help others flourish. I've witnessed many of you putting wide-ranging skills to good use to mentor someone, to add beauty to a memorial service, to bear witness to one another's pain, and to take that pain and turn it into compassionate care for another. I've seen you inspire generosity in one another, shape a shared vision of justice and powerful action together, bring knowledge of engineering and design to care for our space, and plan an awesome party. Let us be grateful for the abundance of gifts among us right now. In our worship planning team meeting, we discussed the theme of generosity, and one of our team members wondered aloud whether something is really a generous act if they enjoy it. Is singing in the choir or being a worship associate or serving on the auction team considered generous if it's something that we love doing? Unequivocally, yes. Yes. That is what reciprocity and mutual flourishing is all about. When we give of ourselves out of love, not expecting anything in return, and when those gifts are received with gratitude, we are filled with joy, and so much more is created than can be quantified. Of course, this isn't always how it goes. Sometimes we give begrudgingly, out of guilt or because we feel we should. And sometimes we give the best we can with the energy we have at the time, and we miss the mark, or it falls flat, or someone offers us in return criticism rather than thanks. We are all human, after all, and often there isn't enough time or resources to do all the things that need to be done or all that we would want to do. Scarcity is real. Feelings of inadequacy or overwhelm can deplete our gratitude and our generosity. But part of practicing them is to afford one another grace and understanding. Generosity at its best provides the space to practice forgiveness, forgiving ourselves and each other as we strive to be of service. Again, Robin Wall Kimmerer states it beautifully. Gratitude is so much more than a polite thank you. It is the thread that connects us in a deep relationship, simultaneously physical and spiritual, as our bodies are fed and spirits nourished by the sense of belonging, which is the most vital of foods. And gratitude must be cultivated. It doesn't always come automatically. Being in a community such as this helps us to grow our gratitude and our faith in the power of love and in the goodness of humanity. We come together to be more conscious and intentional about the values we are striving to live. We come together to remind ourselves and each other to practice living gratefully. And from this practice emerges a generosity of spirit that compels us to pay it forward in whatever ways we can. I'm aware that the algorithm of service and time has been altered in our ever-complexifying consumer economy and our hurting world. Outside these walls and in much of the world, the market economy of scarcity is king, and it is killing the planet. I know that there is much that draws down our reserves of energy and love and attention and time. And yet, I hold the truth that each of us has something for which to be grateful. Each of us has something precious of ourselves to give, and that an abundance of possibility comes from mutuality, generosity, and grateful sharing of those gifts. May we together practice gratitude and generosity, to say no when we must, and yes when we can. May we build our capacity to give abundantly, trusting that we will be held in the spirit of love and appreciation as we find where our greatest joy meets the world's needs. Amen, and may it be so.
As we extinguish the chalice, please join in saying the words on the screen by Reverend Elizabeth Sal Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 331, Life is the Greatest Gift of all three verses.
Before the service ends, I just want to invite you again to stay and enjoy the member engagement fair and explore all the ways that you might give generously of your time and your gifts while also finding joy. May we together cultivate the abundance of a gift economy within, among, and beyond us, and may our collective gifts bring a more whole and healed world. Go co-creating peace and liberation. We